Good evening, everyone. How are
We're
we
here.
doing?
We're here.
Can you hear every breath I take this week? I'm sorry,
Yes,
is it?
you're
No,
coming.
no, but it'd make a great song.
That song was written. That's such a freaky song when you think about what he wrote about. He was a school teacher writing about perving on an underage kid. You know, I mean, every
What time are we
movie,
on? Are you sure you're past?
serious.
You-
Listen, it Sting's tune, and it's one of the biggest hits ever. And every breath you take, I'll be watching you. What's he doing? Just peeping in windows? What are you doing, Sting? You're supposed to be a school teacher. That's what the whole song's about. He's written a
Yeah.
few songs like that. Interesting stuff. But anyway, guys, we are Raw Pet Medics, and thank you for joining us tonight, 18th of November, and we are going to be talking about energy. Thanks to those who join us on patreon.com/Raw Pet Medics. Folk there gives the price of a cup of tea each month. And that's when we do a little bit on the side. So we'll keep, hopefully, the two ladies. You can only see one of them at the moment. You can see Dr. Barry Sands above me. And Odette Jardine is floating around in the ether, which is quite topical for the energy conversation we're about to have. And we are trying to call her as if from a seance onto the show, and we're struggling. So we'll see. We'll get the Ouija board out later. So thanks to those on Patreon. We appreciate that, and we see you all. So thanks very much. Guys, is there anything that you're dying to talk about briefly before we start talking about?
I'm dying to say, Connor, if you remember to put your microphone on.
I have, yes. No, everything is ready to go. I am raring to go. Is there anything you have? Anything you have during the week that you want to say before I tell you my amazing Odette Jardine story?
Yes, I do. I've just started writing a book, and I'm very excited. And
Ooh.
if anybody would like to contact me from the world of Patreon, or from the world of Raw Pet Medics, and just say what you want in a book about the controversy, the how to go from being a skeptical raw feeder, from being a skeptical vet, to being somebody who's embraced and can see the real value of raw food. If you can contact me, it is not going to be mimicking Connor's book in the slightest. It's going to be a different slant. How do we get people over the line from being interested or with a view to raw, to get them to see the real value and how to make that impact their dog's life? So if anyone's got any thoughts, I would be really, really grateful.
Nice, Thompson. When did you decide that? You've been threatening that for a while. When did you decide?
I've been threatening it for about a decade.
Yeah.
And I just started listening to a book, and it just sounded really simple. This guy was just laying out some really simple stuff on calisthenics, and I just thought, I can do that for raw.
Yeah.
So there we go. That
Cool.
the book was born, and I'm just researching it now, and I'm very excited.
Awesome.
Not as excited as I am to see Dr. Barry and Dr. Odette here with us.
Yes.
In the virtual studio this evening.
Indeed.
Good evening, ladies.
Dr. Odette looks suspiciously frozen.
She does look frozen.
No, she's not. No, I can see the eyes move.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know whether she can hear us.
I don't know if she could hear us.
Okay. Listen, I'm going to start with my Odette story anyway. In San Diego, at the Feed Wheel conference, I had a sore elbow at the outside of my elbow. They call it golfer's elbow, possibly tennis elbow. Can't remember. The outside of my elbow. It's happened to me once or twice in my life. It's just a constant pain, and it gets worse and worse and worse over the weeks that you ignore it. This has been going on months. And I was sitting there massaging my elbow, and I flinched when I put my elbow on the ground as I sat in the grass. And Odette asked me what was wrong, and I said, "Oh, it's this bloody elbow. It's just a constant pain that I've had." And she goes, "Oh, I can take a look if you wish." And so I said, "Oh, have at it." Odette has many skills, and she can talk to us later about them. But she explained to me that she's going to do some muscle testing to find out what is wrong. And this muscle testing was very new to me, but I was surprised how unnew it is to everybody on Facebook. I commented about the success of Odette. I mean, it took her 5 minutes to not only diagnose the issue. She said, "I suspect that the problem's in your neck." She introduced me to muscle testing, which is a way to see exactly where the weakness was or where the imbalance was. I don't know. I'm going to let Barry talk to us about that. But very quickly, Odette had moved up to my neck. She goes, "I think your problem might be in the neck." And then very quickly, she says, "Oh, it could be lower down. It could be in your pelvis." And then Odette said the fateful words, I think the problem's in your sacrum, which is the second last bone in your spine, part of your tail. And Odette couldn't have known that I was in a bad motorbike accident 10 years ago, and I cracked my sacrum. And I was sitting on cushions for a long time after that. That was quite a sore experience. And so the body keeps the score, as they say. And Odette then, because she's got some chiropractic in there and a few other bits and pieces that I'm doing her a disservice. I'm sure she's got all sorts of stuff. And she's a small kind of person. She goes, do you want me to have a look at my chiro? And I just know about chiropractic from the movies where it's like, that crunch. And I was like, oh, do have at it. She goes, go on your hands and knees. And she just leans on my pelvis for a very short moment. And after about 10 seconds of leaning on my pelvis, I could barely feel her there. She just goes, how's that? How's your elbow? And I was like, how's my elbow? I mean, you've just been leaning on my butt. How could it possibly help my elbow? And then I extend out my arm and the pain is completely gone. As of today, a month later, no pain whatsoever, completely healed. Where a doctor had told me more exercise and I was in the gym. It's not, I don't need more exercise. A physio was saying certain exercise, anti-inflammatories. And I was like, no, why is the pain sore? And Odette explained that when you've got this kink in your nervous system, I'm not quite sure what the words to use here, but she goes like this, it's just not firing properly. And then other things are taking over that shouldn't be doing those jobs. And you start to get some itis in whatever. And that is the pain. And as soon as she freed it up, it instantly cured my elbow. And I've been told since by everybody on Facebook that, it's not just that. It can work for so many things. Odette was showing me how you could test supplements. You can see if your body wants a supplement, I'll be able to push your arm down and all this kind of stuff. It was the most interesting hour and a half of my life sitting on that grass talking to Odette. And I realized I just know absolutely nothing about the world and how it works at all. I will start with Dr. Barry Sands because Odette's just struggling to come in here at the moment. But Barry, can you tell us what that muscle testing is? What is muscle testing? Can we start with that?
Yeah. So muscle testing is a modality that people learn. It's also called kinesthesiology.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's using your ability to speak to the body or speak to the subconscious energetic layers of the body through a practitioner touching parts of the body and using your arm or another part of you to see if it's a yes or a no situation. So there's lots of different ways that you could tap into the subconscious energy field of the body. Like you said, the body keeps the score, and the body knows exactly what it needs and where the imbalance is. And it's really up to the practitioner or the person that's interfacing with that other person to help kind of adjust all that and figure that out. So when you do the muscle testing, a lot of times we'll have a person like hold out their arm and then just sort of, kind of push it down.
Yeah.
I think that's what Odette probably did with you.
That's right.
Right. So and if you hold strong when she's, or when you're, touching other parts of the body, then you know that that's a strong part. And if your arm goes down, there's a weakness. There's a weakness
down.
there.
Yeah, instantly. As soon as she touched my hand, my arm stayed strong. She touched my wrist, my arm stayed strong. As soon as she touched my elbow, I couldn't hold my arm up.
Yeah, and she might have also, when her other hand went down to your sacrum, your arm dropped as well.
Same thing. Yeah, that's right.
Right. So there was a blockage and a weakness there. And so that's how you kind of know as a practitioner where in the body you need to sort of focus on. And so then that she went with her hands and, her little magic hands and went and did a little bit of adjustment around your pelvis. And then all of a sudden things got released, and they say, well, how did it affect my elbow? Well, it's from the nervous system. So the sacrum and the neck are connected through a spinal column, right? And so as soon as you release the sacrum, the cervical region will naturally release, along that spinal line, and then all the nerves coming out of the neck are innervating the arm. And so there was a link between the neck, the sacrum, the neck, and the elbow. So I guess anatomically, that's how that would work.
Yeah. It reminded me of something like Christmas tree lights. It's like there was just something that was out, and once it was fixed, things just flowed perfectly. Nick, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, Dr. Barry, that is very, very, very interesting, and I would imagine that half the people listening to this podcast are going to be thinking, "Well, that's really obvious. That's fantastic. Really glad that we're having this discussion," but the other half are going to be saying, how can that possibly be? If there is a neurologist, and you're not a neurologist, I'm not a neurologist, I'm not looking for, the ultra neurological detail, but what would the scientists say? Would the scientists be able to measure anything in Connor that was wrong in the first place, and then that was changed? How can we interface? Because I've been looking at kinesiology for years, and it's never really struck me as being so life-changing. But Connor had this experience, and it's brought it back to me to think, maybe it is a really powerful modality. Because if you can't talk to a dog and you've got, I don't know, a supplement, and you think, is this supplement going to work with this dog? You don't know. You have to try it. But if you're able to use the use the client, the owner, as a surrogate, and you can say, okay, you touch the dog, I'll measure your arm, because it's difficult to do it directly with the dog, and you say, right, do touch a strong part of the dog, right? We get a good arm response. There's a good strong arm. We then put the pot of nutrient into the hand of the owner on the dog, and then we get a weak response. We might be able to infer that supplement on paper is good, but for that dog at that moment, it's not the thing. Is that correct? There's about 5 questions in there.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Look at that.
I'm just thinking out loud.
So, Connor, can you now simplify what you just tried to bring?
No,
You can do it bit by bit. So
Yeah.
the least important bit of it is, what would a neurologist think of this?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's really truly the question, because you're comparing conventional understanding with holistic modalities. And, a neurologist would not even pay attention to that, honestly.
Okay.
They'd
There must
say,
be
well,
some crossover, though, yeah, because we are working with the physical world. We're working with energy. Neurologists work with the physical world because the thing's called nerves. They work with energy, which is, a conduction impulse.
right. But
There must be some common ground there somewhere, you'd have thought.
yeah, well, I mean, there is, but for the conventional neurologists, they don't even value chiropractors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And
So
osteopaths.
I feel like that's not even a fair question
Okay.
to throw conventional neurologists in there, because they think about the body on a kind of a different level. And when you, like, even with a chiropractor, they're all about the alignment. The alignment of the spine is very important,
Yeah.
because you need to open up to allow the blood flow to be optimized, and then the nerve impulses to be more succinct. But when you're talking about energy medicine, that's a whole other level.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So it's a little bit like you've got a neurologist looking at an elephant, and you've got an elephant specialist looking at an elephant, and the neurologist goes, well, there is some nervous activity here, but the elephant is the elephant specialist saying, well, there's the emotional side of the elephant, and there's the digestive side of the elephant, and there is homeopathic remedies that we could use to treat the elephant and what have you. It's a broad view versus a very narrow kind of historical, coming from a place of zero understanding to coming to a limited, very physical and scientific-y understanding. Is that about
because when you're looking at like a holistic viewpoint, you have to understand, like, no one part is explicable to the whole. Because it's all, everything has a relationship with something else. And then you add on the energy fields around that, and the understanding of why does muscle testing work. It's really tapping into a subconscious, the energetic field that is driving the physiology from the outside in.
Yeah. I think basically we are streets ahead of these guys. It's just that we're not very good at explaining it, because we can't really. We just talk about energy, we talk about balance and what have you. But what often happens is that 20, 30 years down the line, they discover a machine that can
Yeah.
measure something, and then they catch up with
Yeah,
where
we-
we're at.
we
It's
don't
like
have the-
acupuncture.
We don't have the tools to measure dark matter. It makes up 97% of the universe.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is because we don't have the right tool to look at it.
Yeah.
We don't know how to measure it. We know
Yeah.
it's there. We just
Yeah.
it doesn't stop it being there.
Yeah,
So this
agree.
this energy field, like this is something we can measure. It goes for many feet outside the body, and it shouldn't surprise people. We're electrical beings. We have synapses firing all the time, and you can measure this. Lots of machines do. You got from EMFs to all sorts of things. You can actually measure the magnetism that comes off people, a heart to a brain, with a lot more coming from the heart.
Right.
From feet away, you can measure this. So it really calls into question this, the whole energy and what we're missing and that kind of stuff. Can you speak to us about this energy? Like what sort of stuff are we missing aside muscle testing? I mean, what else is going on? What do you do day to day that you use in the energy type stuff, the type of energy sphere?
Oh, I poor Odette.
Odette, yeah, we can see you, Odette. We just can't hear you. Oh, she's gone again.
So, from the energy realm, you can use many, many, many different things. I talk a lot about biofields and biofield entanglements with my clients, and the conversation of what you feel as a human being, your animal picks up in that way. And so there's been this question that I've had in the veterinary world to all veterinarians: have you ever noticed that the owner has the same disease as their pet?
Yeah.
And everyone says yes.
Yeah.
They're like,
definitely.
yeah, absolutely. And then I'm like, okay, well, how is that possible? And
Yeah.
what is happening there? And it's all energy. And it's this entanglement of our biofields that are being broadcasted to an animal who finds you very emotionally relevant, and then takes on that energy in such that it changes their epigenetically their DNA, so that they start excreting and making certain proteins, or downgrading or upgrading their encoding of their DNA proteins to express a certain disease phenomenon. And I can't prove that, but it is a plausible explanation of how we are entangled through our biofields. Like you mentioned, you can measure this field out from your heart. There's a magnetometer that can measure it out at least 6 to 9 feet.
That's right.
Right, that comes out of your heart. There's a huge broadcasted electromagnetic field, and within that field, there is information. And the information is your emotions and your thoughts and all the stuff that's getting through.
Yeah.
And your animals tap into that. And then
like radio, like Wi-Fi. I mean, it's carried in waves. Light is waves. Sound is waves. Everything is waves and energy. And so if we understand how mobile phones work and communicate with satellites, you accept that. And how your Wi-Fi, all this, our Bluetooth earphones, we accept all that. We accept that salmon can find their way back to a river, that pigeons can home around. Like, we accept sharks and platypus can dig for it. We accept they all use the electromagnetism, but we definitely don't. I mean, that is just ridiculous to suggest that we are not, that what you're saying is not going on. I see it all the time with people that they've got the same illnesses. Has nobody done any work on that
Well,
I bet Sheldrake has.
I bet Sheldrake has, yeah.
Yeah, he has, and he wrote that book, about how dogs know when your owner's coming home.
Yeah.
So he's done a lot of research on morphogenic fields, and I work with the HeartMath Institute.
HeartMath, that was it. Yeah. What do they do? What do HeartMath do? Give me some examples of some of the stuff they've come out with.
Well, they've been around for about 30 years or so, and they do scientific research on the heart's intelligence and how you can shift your physiology by going into states of coherence, which is a deep conversation between your heart and your brain, and creating this alignment, a physiological alignment within your system, and how that changes your biofield rhythms and your heart rate variability, so that you can do a lot of stress management and build resilience and create just health inside your body. So that's what they they researched that, and they also researched how energetically humans can affect the geomagnetic pulses of the Schumann resonance around the Earth, and how we can actually change the frequencies of that collectively as a species. Interestingly, they also tap into trees and how the trees are communicating with each other and along the planet. So they have a global initiative research that's going on about the trees as well. So a lot of interesting stuff coming out from HeartMath.
Yeah, HeartMath put monitors on a dog and on a kid, and they separated the dogs, and their hearts went into not arrhythmia. What's the word? Incoherence.
Coherence. Yeah.
Yeah. So it went to the wonky phase when they were separated, and when the two of them got close to each other, not even in the same room yet, as they got the heart rates. Mabel was the name of the dog, I remember, and the heart rate just plateaus. It just gets nice, even. I don't have the words.
Yeah.
But
so that study,
so clear.
That study was they were in two separate rooms, and Josh was the boy and his dog Mabel, and they hooked them both up to heart rate variability monitors, and they wanted to show that if Josh went into a state of coherence, how would that affect Mabel? And so as soon as he went into a state of coherence,
is that calm? Is that what's state of coherence? Is that calm and positive coherence or is it the opposite?
There is a calmness, but it's a little bit different because it does change your physiology. It's when you are creating the conversation between your heart and your brain and keeping that in sync. It's basically the brain getting into a conversation with the language of the heart. It's what you love and what you think are the same exact things. It's a bigger conversation to have about coherence, but and it's super easy to train someone how to get into that physiological state. But during the experiment, when Josh went into that state, they proved that Mabel, the dog, her heart rate and her heart rate variability became the same exact thing. So she went into a state of coherence just by him doing it. And so that showed that there is this connection between the human and the animal, and they were rooms apart. They didn't even see each other.
They did. They've done lots of studies on this, by the way, guys. There's loads of published research, really solid. Race horses and their jockeys, where they tell the jockey, walk down this path, and on the fourth time you walk down, a guy with an umbrella is going to jump out. And the jockey's like, oh, no. So they measure each other's heart rates on the horse and the jockey. The first time, everything's fine. The second time, everything's fine. On the third time, everything's fine. And before the fourth one even begins, the horse is starting to get the flutters because they're so connected that the jockey is starting to feel a little bit anxious because he doesn't want to be on top of a half a ton beast when it rears up on its hind legs, and the horse is already jittery. So you can actually, just even thinking about it, young mums will tell you this. You go out on a date, and as soon as you come back, the baby wakes up and cries. How could the baby possibly know we were home? Like, it's a real thing, I'm telling you. I've seen it so many times. I'm sure that's it. The baby just knows mum's coming home. I am down for that. I see it, and people will testify to it in the Facebook comments, and we're going to see loads of people commenting on that.
Yeah, and HeartMath, they actually did a study on how a mom and a baby can connect with their heart rhythms and their brain waves.
Oh,
and
so this is a really interesting part. But as Fiona has pointed out, and I've put the question up at the bottom of the screen there, and I get a lot of this from clients when they have that conversation about their connection to their pets, their connection within families, and some people will talk about their dog is taking that disease energy from them. There's all of that stuff that goes on, but their concern is, if they've got a health condition, can they pass that on to their dog? What ways would you instruct people, if they are concerned about their own health, that they can shield their beloved pets from taking on that energy? What's your answer there?
Yeah,
or have you come up with anything for that?
Yeah. I mean, I've been working with this for the last 10 years, I think. This phenomenon that's happening. And the first and foremost, people need to understand that they shouldn't feel guilty or blame or shame around that kind of thing. Animals are there energetically to do a bunch of stuff. One, some animals will take on the disease, like share it with you. Others will take it from you so that you don't get it. And then others will just be this sort of rock and a soundboard to hold space for you with the disease. So not every animal will take on that energy, but it breaks down to just an awareness and a learning piece, because when you recognize that shared phenomenon, it's an opportunity for you to start healing yourself. And when you start doing that, then you're going to notice the shift in the animal. So I always, tell people it's like, healing humanity one dog at a time, and allowing them to see that as a mirror and a reflection of what's happening inside of them, and then to do a deeper dive into their own, physiology, because a lot of our, or you can even say that all of our diseases in our bodies are unresolved emotional conflicts that are coming from this emotional situation, these traumas that needed to be metabolized and that weren't. And so they get seated in a certain part of your body that is kind of metaphorically expressed, if that makes sense. So when you heal people, when you're thinking about healing on an energetic level, you start with the emotional conflicts and going back to, what happened.
Oh,
so there is, it gets really deep, and
it gets really deep.
And it's great to see, these people are so enthusiastic, and, all of our, Patreon viewers and everybody who's out there on Facebook looking at us right now, and the level of which they go to for the health of their pets. But now seeing people suddenly have those light bulb moments of actually spending more time on their own health as part of that journey is so important. And I'm glad that you've sort of raised that. But as a practitioner, there is also an element, isn't there, of how you interact. And you must have to go through a process to ensure that when you're interacting with patients, that, again, how that energy is passed on between you as a practitioner and the pets. Oh, and she's gone. She didn't like that question.
We are without women again. What is going on?
And Nick's frozen, so I'm just going to unfreeze him for a moment.
No, I can see him. I can see him.
On Facebook he's frozen. Facebook he's frozen. I'm just going to unfreeze you for a moment.
Okay. I mean, it is mind blowing, isn't it? All this
incredible
stuff, and I think it's a real shame that there is such a gulf between the practitioners. Kinesiology's been around for yonks, and that's not even wacky. There's psionic meds and all these things, and it's just such a shame that science won't even entertain looking at this stuff. There are phenomena there that would be easy to examine, to do studies, to say there is something there, but we just don't know what it is. I did the muscle testing, for example. I imagine that would be very easy to run some kind of trials on. Sure,
it was physically. Odette thought that I might have been a cynic. I'm a skeptic. If people don't understand the difference between those two, a cynic is someone that goes bullshit, whereas a skeptic goes, oh, maybe, tell me more, and then I'll make up my mind. So I'm firmly in that latter camp. I probably started life as a cynic because I did a science degree, and I was taught that we had all the answers, and then you realize over time you don't. But Odette started with a physical example to show me with the arm testing, as Barry was explaining. She says, look, you're a big, strong man, Connor. Put out your arm there and don't let me put it down. So I'm holding it there so she couldn't get it down. And eventually then she can get it down just by touching the sore part. But she showed me how to do it and the people that were there. So we were just going around to people all day, just going, stick your arm out, watch this. And I can't get your arm out, big, strong men, no problem. And it worked a treat. And then she said, you just hold your hand over their head and interrupt the field of beams of energy coming down on my head. And she just puts your hand overhead and then it interferes with the field and their arm goes down. Like, it was bizarre. And it was working on everyone. But I've since tried it, Barry. And I tried it on a physiotherapist. I don't know what it is about physiotherapists, but they're firmly in the cynical category when it comes to anything else but physiotherapy. I have found, but this physiotherapist was mentions about kinesiology and muscle testing, and she was like, bullshit. And I was like, oh, do tell us everything you know about muscle testing. And I said, I'll demonstrate it on you. And so she goes, okay. And I shouldn't have done that because I'm not the person to show her about muscle testing. So I said, put your arm out. And I said, hold it nice and straight. And I couldn't get it down. And she goes, now watch this. And I do some hocus pocus above her head. And I go to push her arm down and her arm won't go down. And I'm like, oh, no, I look like an absolute dickhead now. So what is
Well,
it? What's that?
So there's a
It's
lot
me.
of different techniques of how to do interface with the energy fields that are around the body. And, the whole arm thing is just one way. I mean, people can use it with they're making a circle with their fingers and using their
That's
own
right.
finger to come through. It's really about understanding what's truth and not truth in the body.
Yeah.
And it's intention around that and being a clear conduit to receive that energy is really important. So, like, to your question before, like, how do you as a practitioner, like, not get in the way of
Yeah.
other people's stuff? And it is actually to become that clear conduit for energy to come through, which in certain trainings, depending on how clear you want to be, you need to deal with your own stuff. You don't want to put your traumas on somebody else or your projections onto something else. And I think a lot of the therapists and the doctors out there are always doing that. I mean, it's all ego-based medicine. And so they're
Yeah.
always putting their stuff on you. And that's not healing. That's just, advice.
Yeah.
So when you become a clear conduit, when you step out of the way, you're just able to sort of feel the energies and change with that. So when Odette sort of turned her hand up and said, okay, I'm blocking it now. And so I want to see what's going to happen in your body. In her mind, there's an understanding and an intention around, like, this is what I'm doing. Thoughts have frequency and impact, and intentions have energy. So it's putting those two things together, with the idea of healing the body, and allowing, the best, the system to just go for its highest good in a way. I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Barry, is there just thinking about Connor's experience? Is there a really foolproof test that people can use on themselves or on a child, a loved one, whoever might be around? Not the dog, because there's certain complexity there, or maybe it is with the dog. Is there a kind of a surefire way that people can just see a very simple black and white response? For example, you're doing the ones that I've seen in the past is you do a test with the arm, and you kind of get used to how much people resist, because if they're really cynical, they'll go, this is a rod of iron and you will not move it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what the physiotherapist probably did. It's like, this guy is not going to move my hand at all.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
But if you just got somebody, you just say to them without any preempt, you just say, right, just hold your arm out and let me just test.
Yeah, that's a
the
better
strength.
way to do
And
it.
then you give them a bag of sugar and you just see if there's a difference.
Yeah. So one of the ways that you could test that with somebody or even yourself is to first of all, you have to understand that working with these energies, it's subtle. These are subtle frequencies.
Yeah.
It's like being the kid and having imaginary friends that only you saw, right? I mean, you saw these imaginary friends because you're tapped into that realm of through imagination and creation. And so to them, it was like, oh yeah, can't you see? And it was like, no, I can't see anything, right? So there's a subtlety to it. But one of the things that we'll do to start the process is, have that person hold their arm up, or you can have the individual just make a ring with their middle and thumb finger, and then use their index finger as a tester to see if they could break the circle.
Yeah.
And trying to use the same amount of pressure, and asking yourself the question, like, identify lie to yourself and have truth to yourself. So I would say, okay, my name. my name is Barry. My name is Barry. And then I see what that feels like, and then I would say something that's not true. You know,
My
my
name is
name is
John. Yeah.
my name is John, and you could feel there's a difference of that energy. And if you do it to somebody else and they're holding out their arm, and you say, okay, just gently, it's really gentle, like resist me. First say, okay, I'm going to push down, resist me, right? And so then you get the idea of gentle resistance, and they say, okay, my name is Barry, and then my name is John, and then it comes, and you just kind of get a feel for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
if you
anyone
could-
can hold
yeah.
tight and resist, if they want to, but
I heard that practitioners of this can do it at distance. So I mean distance like over the phone. And we
Yeah.
know a vet, guys. I'm just not bothering naming him because I'm but he has been called by very high up people for racehorses that were in serious trouble before a show. And they called him, by very high up people in England.
Wow.
And they called him and said, is there anything you can do? And he goes, yeah, bring the phone over to the horse. And they're like, what? But the person ringing him knew exactly what they're doing. Everyone else is like, ridiculous. And the horse had 6 days to get over the illness. And on the last day, they called him, and lo and
Oh my goodness!
Wow. We got cut off.
That's,
Well, shoot.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
certain powers are watching this this
Right,
broadcast,
or getting
and
it.
Pulling his plug.
it's just too much for them to
Yeah.
handle.
Well, to address that, I mean, there is a thing called remote healing, and it's not woo woo. I mean, it really is science. It's quantum science, and
quantum, yeah.
quantum physics, and it's the entanglement theories.
yeah, they've measured it. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Tell us about that.
It's like Einstein said, it was spooky action at a distance. That's what he called it. Where you're trying to explain when they did the entanglement studies, where you separate particles. They did it. I don't remember the year it was, but they took a particle, separated it in half, and they put it along fiber optic channels about I don't know, I think 14 feet apart on each direction, and then they measured what they would do with one particle, what would happen to the other particle. So they would spin one particle in one way, and they noticed that the particle that was separated did the exact same thing at the exact same time. So there was no lag time, it was instantaneous. So they were doing the exact same thing. And so that was the entanglement experiment, which Einstein said, oh, it's like spooky action at a distance. I don't know, it debunks the whole speed of light thing, because it's faster than the speed of light, because it's instantaneous. And and so this idea of muscle testing and getting involved with the subconscious, you don't even have to touch the person. You just go into, for me, when I'm doing my practice, it's more of an intuition, where I'm tapping into that field through my other sense of knowing, and then I will kind of get an idea of what substance I want to use on this animal. I'll go through that process, like, is this one better for you, or this one better for you? And then I get an answer, and then I trust it. And it usually is correct, and it's very helpful. But in the remote viewing, because there's this, there's no difference between physical things through space-time, where you can interact with someone through these fields. It's through your intention and your you're being open to the possibilities of healing and tapping into that field. And animals are easy because they don't have an expectation,
Yeah.
of the healing.
This sounds incredibly close to prayer. Think of the effect of a group of people being asked to pray for somebody and them actually doing that. I don't know if you guys. I mean, I remember going to church as a kid, right? And when they said, do something, I'm just sitting there thinking about football and anything. I can't wait till it's finished. So it was never. But if there is something to this, And like Barry was saying, they have measured this. They've measured this quantum effect on the other side of the Earth as well. They haven't, and in the space station as well. They have measured this effect. I wonder if this sounds very close to prayer, where if you absolutely mean it, and it sounds like the placebo nocebo effect. I mean, all these things are very similar. That girl's TED talk is unbelievable. And it's
Which one? If you got a reference for that one?
I'll find it before the end of the talk. I think it's called placebo nocebo. She's explaining the nocebo effect, where you tell somebody there's no hope. They're very unlikely to recover.
Yeah.
And there's astounding examples of it, where the person was given the wrong diagnosis and dies on the day. That kind of stuff, you know.
Right.
You know, but that's like. There's so much to this that we can't even talk about it. We can't bring it into, like, it's not the University of Edinburgh have studied it, University of Nottingham have studied what was the word you used there, Barry? Remote viewing or affecting
healing.
Yeah. They've put CCTV cameras on people that aren't connected. And sorry, the people aren't, but the camera is. And the person's sitting in a room with a CCTV camera on them, and the other person is far away. And all the trouble we're having with the computers tonight, guys, Cloudflare is down, which is an enormous internet server. And so half the world is having massive problems at the moment. It's all over the news. You can see it. So this is why we're dealing with this.
No, it's not the wonky energy conversation.
No. Yeah.
If only entanglement would mean we didn't have to have the internet.
Yeah. Well, you'll save us a lot of stress. Yeah. But like, so it convinces more people when I tell you the University of Edinburgh have looked at this. The University of Nottingham, the CIA have multiple case reports on this. I mean, who else is going to? They've studied identical twins, particularly when you've been born in the same amniotic sac, and 1 in 4 can sense, you know, you're cold on a hand or hot on a hand, like unexplainable stuff without some sort of distance. And so. What's the short of the distance? Why would it just keep on going? You could be in Australia as long as I'm thinking about the right thing. We've no idea how this works.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Are you guys familiar with Lynn McTaggart?
No.
So she's in London, and she wrote. She's a researcher and an author, and she has written 2 books. I think more than 2 books, but called The Field. And another book is called The Intention Experiment. And so her life's work has been exactly that, like getting a group of people to intent on something like, you know, peace, to stop a war or to heal something across the globe, and show the effect of how that works. And she works with a lot of universities and a lot of scientists, and it's all documented in her books. So...
They're amazing books. Yeah, I met her once, and she is a spectacular person. That's for sure. Barry, would you be able to give us some case studies, how you use this incredible and difficult to comprehend modality? Could you give us a? Would you be able,
on Patreon? On
Patreon. Yeah, would that be okay? Just hang around with us just for another 10 minutes and give us some case studies of. Dog came in and it looked like this, but actually we did some testing and it was that, and this is what happened. Have you got any cases like that?
Yeah, I have a couple. I could share a couple of cases with you. Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Okay.
And then just before we go, let's give those couple of books out there for Nicola Creswell, because she'll be
she will be falling off a chair right now.
That's Lynn McTaggart. So LYNNE TAGGART, and there is The Field from back in 2001, and 2006 I think is The Intention Experiment. So have a look at those, really interesting.
I'm going to share it. I'm going to share this intention experiments that they have up on look at this stuff. She's got a book with the same name of Odette's book, What Your Doctor Didn't Tell You.
Yeah.
So now we know where Odette got the name for her book from.
Don't say things like that. She is watching us. Odette, thanks for joining us on Facebook and
Odette's
replying
book,
to loads of people.
Odette's book is fantastic. I finished it, by the way, and I did actually read it. What Your Vet Didn't Tell You is a fabulous book. So that's Odette's book. Barry, are you doing Zoom consults for people that are listening on Facebook? We'll jump to Patreon in a second. Is there somewhere people can look at the stuff you're doing, reach out to you? Do you do Zoom consults, or do you just, how do you communicate with people?
Remotely.
remotely, right?
Yeah.
So I do have a website. It's my name, drbarrysands.com. And I do telemedicine consultations for those that are not local for me. And I also have a practice. Um, oh no,
That's awesome.
did
All
that,
right.
did I leave you?
No, you're still
No,
there.
you're still
still
here.
there?
Still there.
Yeah. Don't start cursing.
Okay. Something just popped up in my
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. drbarrysands.com. That's cool. I'll share that underneath this about Lynn's.
Yeah, and actually on my website too, I'm in the process of a continual um, survey
That's
of
IE. Sorry.
IE. Yeah.
the energetics of the human animal bond. And it's a 1 minute survey that asks clients about, like, have you ever had a disease or condition that is similar to your
Great.
pet? And
Oh,
so,
cool. I'll
and
share
I've said,
that.
yeah, and from all the people so far that have answered, 51% said yes. And
Yeah.
and then they go on to explain like what they were,
Yeah.
anxiety, physiological, like cancers, immune mediated,
Yeah.
all
Do you
sorts
just
of
see every disease now as dis-ease? Do you see it all as it can't all be an emotional trauma? I mean, it like really, do you see like all disease? Do you see like the cancer that's plaguing the West and not plaguing other regions of the world? Do you like surely environmental factors are smashing us?
yeah.
How do you tear the two apart?
I mean, for me, I have this protocol called the bioepic protocol, and that breaks down the system between the three things: bioenergetic, biophysical, biointelligence, and biochemical. And so, yeah, we're all interfaced. We're still humans, right? We have physiology, and so we work with biochemistry, which is foods, toxins, whatnot, medical, pharmaceuticals, and supplements and everything. And then there's the biophysical. You're traumatized, you hurt yourself, you get hit by a car, you hurt yourself in a sports injury, right? So the body has to heal on those levels. But then there's the energetic and the intelligence part of it. And what I've found is that you could take all the supplements in the world you want, eat the best diet, and do all these things, but yet you're still not getting better. And there's always this icing on the cake that needs to be addressed. And once you address that emotional context and that energetic context, then you will heal. And because we've all met those animals that are on these perfect diets, those 2.0 pet parents on the great supplements, the great microbiome, they're on raw food diets or things that are super organic and healthy. And then you turn around and then their dog has cancer. You're like, well, I was doing everything right. How did that happen?
Yeah.
And then when you start getting deeper into the conversation with the owner, you realize that there's this underlying thing that hasn't been addressed, and it always ends up being this emotional thing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Great. So, everyone, that has been amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Barry.
Mind-blowing.
We've got Odette Suter, of course, is in the sidelines looking at the messages as we speak. And of course, she's also talked to me about coming direct to us on Patreon. So we'll do an individual one-to-one, maybe Connor or myself, just an interview with Odette on Patreon, so that she can also be part of that conversation, because she's got so much to share. So that would be great.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But for now, if you want to join us on patreon.com/Raw Pet Medics for a price of a cup of tea, as only Nick would have, or a pint if it's
Oh,
me,
no, I'd had a
or
coffee.
you'd have a coffee. Oh,
Yeah,
I'd have a strong black coffee would do me.
holier than thou.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then please do join us over on that side. Give us some support so that we can continue to bring you these excellent guests and also lots of information. But for now, we're going to be recording over on a bit on the side. And so if you want to join us in about an hour or so over on Patreon, that would be great.
Yeah.
Take care.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Guys, good show.
Yeah. Have an energetic evening.